This is Floral City. It's a place where you can relax and just be exactly who you are. There are no dress codes here. There's no status quos to stress you out. It's actually like stepping back into yesterday. Trees blowing in the breeze, the flowers on the porch boxes of the historic homes, and our come on in attitude and friendliness make this place of Floral City graceful, laid back, and beautiful. It's a hidden treasure of Florida's nature coast. Here in Floral City, we might be a small town, but we have old things to new things, barbecue to beauty, flowers to fishing, rails to trails, and fine arts to frog legs. We've got just a little bit of everything here in Floral City. It's our historic country culture. Welcome back, friends. I'm glad you could join us for another episode of Floral City, the real old Florida. And I know by the time we are done, you are going to be so grateful that you joined us too. Well, today we are in a place in Floral City, just outside Floral City proper, and it is an old phosphate mine. The property itself was one of the first phosphate mines we had here in Floral City. But now, for the last 50, 60 years or so, it has been Eckerd Youth Camp, and it's been called E-Nini-Hassi for years, and it is a wonderful place. We will tell you the meaning of what E-Nini-Hassi means, and we'll show you what they do here. The camp is a wonderful place for girls to come and learn coping skills and learn how to live in nature and to kind of unplug a little bit and find out what's really important in life in these days in our society. This is so good for the girls themselves. It's also good for us as a community. We want people that are going to grow up and that are going to stay here and they're going to be in our community, and these girls are doing that. This is a community-based camp, and they give so much to Floral City, and so now it's time we came out here and talked to some of them so that they can tell you what they do out here. Hi Gail, how are you?
Good. Thanks, Shannon, for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen and friends, I would like to introduce you to my friend Gail. And she is here with us today, and she's going to show us a little bit about something that we have here in Floral City. We're very proud to have, and we're very honored. This is an Eckerd Youth Camp. Jack and Ruth Eckerd started these camps back in the day, and this is the famous Camp E-Nini-Hassi here in Floral City. So thank you for having us in today and showing us around.
We're looking forward to showing you around.
Thank you. Driving in was just absolutely beautiful. Just back that road. It's like nobody else is in the world but you on that little tiny path. I love it. Now I wanted to ask you, E-Nini-Hassi, there's lots of names here, and I believe they go along with the Seminole Indian names. Mm-hmm. But could you tell us something about that? What does E-Nini-Hassi mean?
E-Nini-Hassi means her sunny road.
Her sunny road.
Certainly enjoyed
Perfect.
that on the way in.
Yes. Yeah, and now that all came with the Eckerds. They wanted to...
They really wanted, when they had this piece of property, it was bought from the phosphate mines, and they really helped plant most of the trees here, transplant many of the trees here, and they really, Jack Eckerd really wanted to support Florida history, and so he took names from the Seminole Indian tribes. So our campsites are named similarly, mm-hmm. Our groups are named similarly.
Yeah, I saw some of them on the, when I was doing the research and stuff, and fascinating. I love it. And it makes the kids feel, I imagine the girls feel like they're part of something. They're named and they're a group.
Very much so.
Yeah, makes them feel incorporated, and that's great. Well, we have a lot to see. Not only is this a wonderful camp where the kids can come and stay, and we're going to learn about that, but it also has a lot of history to the property. As you said, it was a phosphate, one of the first phosphate mines I believe we had here mm-hmm. in this area back in the day. So we're going to go take a little bit of ride around, I think, and get a tour of the camp.
For sure.
Yes, and I believe there's something special towards the end that I want to show you, so it's going to be great. Didn't even know that was out here myself. So why don't you guys come along with us, and we're going to take a tour of Camp E-Nini-Hassi and see just what it's like at her sunny road. Okay, friends, well, I told you we were going to go on a tour, and the first stop on our tour, we came all through the woods, and what you see behind us is, you said this was one of the mining houses that was here when it was the phosphate mine.
Yes.
And how long, it was still standing until?
Well, in 1988, when I got here, it was standing, and we used to bring the girls on trips down here. And then 1993, the storm of the century.
Yeah.
It
No name,
teetered. Yep, the no-name storm. So we ended up then pulling out some artifacts. We actually have a little trolley car that we have up by our flagpole, and
Very
so
cool.
the girls like to come out here.
Sure.
They like to take rambles.
I don't blame them. This would be great. I can't even imagine all the stuff you'd be able to find out here. Just look at all the different pieces of stuff from back in the day.
All the way through, you can find different chains and all kinds of stuff.
I find it fascinating that, you know, we live in Florida. We're used to Florida, very flat. But out here, I guess it's because of the phosphate mines. It's very, you've got like where the railroads used to go through, and then you've got the pits where they dug from.
Yes.
And stuff. So it's up and down. I imagine you do a lot of hiking and stuff out here.
We do. The girls love it. They like to be able to slide down some of the hills and swing from some of the vines. So we absolutely enjoy ourselves out here in the woods.
Friends, behind me, this is not just a beautiful lake and a little pond that they use for swimming and all kinds of things down here. But if you look very closely, the poles that you see going out there that look like they're kind of rotted off at the top, those aren't just old trees. Gail, would you like to tell us what those are?
The railroad track ran right through here. So this was a bridge that was up a little bit higher. You can see on either end up there where the trestle then would go through the forest. And then there are train parts all along up there. So you can go and clamber about and find great artifacts. But that is exactly where the railroad train would be.
And they had, now the tracks themselves didn't, I mean the railroad cars themselves didn't come down, but it was more of the buggies.
The buggies.
That they would bring down here. It was a Georgia buggy, I think. And if you notice when you look at those pictures of a Georgia buggy in the phosphate mines, the sides were flat as to be able to just tip them and get all of the stuff out, and it wasn't so difficult for the workers. But that was used as a rail, and they would load the phosphate on and then carry it up, put it on the bigger thing, and it would be gone.
There are quite a few big wires, you know, that are huge
Cables,
up there, cables, and where you can see where they did the pulling.
Right, that's fantastic. So see, even all these years later, just because you come out and you think that everything's gone and you think that those might be trees, with just a little bit of research and just a little bit of imagination, you can see that this was where a lot of our phosphate came from. And it wasn't just a regular old pond with big sticks hanging out, they were actually from something. So I find that history is everywhere. We just have to stop and learn about it a little bit.
Enjoy it.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so what is, this looks like a miniature Swiss Family Robinson back in here. What is this is one of the campsites?
So this is a campsite. This is Cliffdale's campsite. So this is their home. There would be 8 to 12 girls that live here with 2 counselors. We call them chiefs. And so I'll give you just a brief tour.
Okay.
So this is a wash-up tent, perhaps the world's biggest toothbrush holder that you have. The girls actually get educational credit for building such a structure. So this is part of that experiential education. They would first design this on a piece of graph paper, so coordinate geometry is being used, and then they actually go out and hand cut the trees, the pines, skin them with tools, and then they come and hand drill. So it takes an entire team effort to be able to put it together. So by the time they get done, they've learned quite a bit of things.
No nails, you said?
No nails. They use binder's twine and for tying. And then they take the tarps and we take them back to the lake we were just at, and slip and slide down the lake.
Oh, very cool.
So that they can clean the tarps.
Very cool.
And so
Dual purpose. Yep. I like it. Gotta have fun.
As we continue to walk, you'll see this is our cook and chuck area. So on weekends, we have to give our cooks, who we call moms, the weekend off. And so the girls have 2 days of cooking on an open fire. So we have a kitchen, cold running water. If they want hot water, we have to, of course, burn it on the altar fire that's on the other side. Any tools that we need are here in our Rex tent area, and of course you'll see the wood that's gathered. So they saw some of the pine and then they go gather oak. And of course they learn the difference between the tinder, the kindling, and the fuel. So that's a huge piece of just survival.
Well, and I have a feeling people have gotten the idea by now, but These girls just don't come out of this isn't like a fun, you know, you go and you watch HBO and you have, you know, all that fun stuff. They really work here and they learn life skills along with everything else.
7 in the morning until 9:30 at night, they are together as a group and the entire piece is working.
That's great.
So we have fun. We certainly try and have fun,
Sure.
but it's not easy.
No.
So it's not easy. It's well earned. So we've come now to the sleeping area, and what we have over here are our tents. So we have 3 tents for the girls, so there's usually 3 to 4 girls in a tent, and then we have 1 tent for the counselors, and we of course call our counselors chief.
Right? I like that. I do
So
like
a tent has a bed and a small foot locker underneath of it, and every morning we wake up, that's our first thing that we do, and then we have to get together and we got to make it right here. So we have a few pictures, we have our foot locker, our things neat, we make our bed neat, and if we can't do it right here, we're not going to do it right anywhere else, so we'll stop here until our process is on track.
And the mosquito net's perfect.
Of course.
Yes, I don't know how, I was thinking about that the other night. How in the world with all the mosquitoes?
Each girl's responsible for keeping theirs in good ship-shop shape.
And then at night your lights are lanterns and
Yes,
things out here?
we actually used to have kerosene, and these are all runway lanterns from the Vietnam War.
Very cool.
But
Look
the
at
interesting
that.
part is that it's a hot commodity now in the United States, and it's astronomical.
I bet, yeah.
So we shifted to batteries, sadly to say, but our maintenance man did attempt to do a little solar panel. So we've had some experience. And
That's
this perhaps is the most sacred area of the campsite. This is the powwow.
Oh, so when we get into...
So every night, before we go to bed, our task is to come down to our powwow area. And of course you can see remnants of dwelling on a cliff.
Yes,
And the
cliff
phosphate
dwelling.
mine is right here.
Great.
And here we have a powwow.
Oh, wow, look at that.
And so the girls build this in the morning, and then our nighttime activity is that we're going to have a reflection of the day. So we want to share our gratitudes, our highlights, things that we're looking forward to, so that every day we can start new.
That's great.
Tomorrow morning, if today was rough, tomorrow morning we have another chance.
There's always another day.
There's always another shot.
And I really like what I read about your, like even, you know, you have your powwows, but then your huddles and things. There's not really a problem that doesn't get solved. It has to be solved, and they have to communicate with each other effectively for that to happen. And I read where someplace where the girls will say some of them will last until 3 in the morning, but at the end, everybody hugs and everybody knows that they're listened to and communicated with, and the problem has been worked through.
That's what the goal is.
And that's something you don't find in society these days, and that is just tremendously huge that's something the girls can get from here.
It's really hoping that they get skill sets then that they can take out into the real world.
Yeah. Life's tough. You
Life
know,
is
it was tough back in the pioneer days. It's a whole different kind of tough these days. And yeah, so when you have places like this to go and remember what's important, you know, and it takes you back to what's real, and hopefully these girls are still young enough, they're not completely jaded yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of the rest of us are, and these will be practices that they can continue on their life and just be better citizens and friends. And
Change a cycle, that's what we're about.
Change a
is that when the
cycle.
girls go on, can they change a cycle with their own children? That's
I
why we
like
have
that.
such a big alumni force. Mercedes, she's changing cycles. She's doing something different with her son and daughter.
right. And I've had, you know, nieces and people say to me, I don't want to be like them. It's your choice.
Yeah.
And this is proof of that. You know, you can change your life. And we all get stuck. We get stuck in that and we think we can't do it, you know? So for these girls to have, in my opinion, it's just a stepping stone. It's a bigger stepping stone and a bigger up. So when they get into society, they don't have to question and wonder, you know, what their place is. So that's great. Everybody needs to feel important, and everybody needs to feel like they have a place. And here at Camp E-Nini-Hassi, I can say that it is definitely a place where those girls can find that.